Hello, folks. Welcome to Homo Politicus on Enterprise TV. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Today we look at strident call for state of emergency on security. CSOs, that's the Civil Service Organizations, charge on President Commander-in-Chief. Now, in a representative government or democracy, the president is also known as a commander-in-chief, meaning that his office is a clearinghouse for everything defensive in a polity or civil government or constitution. Needless to say that between May 29th, 2023, when Bola Tinubu assumed office as President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and today, no fewer than 2,423 people have been killed in mass atrocities and related incidents, while nearly 2,000 others have been abducted or kidnapped. Now, this is what is known as bedlam in a country that's supposed to be in peacetime. A coalition of 48 civil society organizations, CSOs, in Nigeria has urged the President and Commander-in-Chief, Bola Tinubu, to declare a state of emergency regarding the extreme security situation in our country. Well, except that advice is more like castor oil. It's easy to give, but dreadful to take. Shall we have a conversation, therefore? My two conversationalists are Tumi Olowe, a chartered accountant and public affairs analyst. Tumi, I greet you.
Good afternoon.
And Tochukwu Ezukama, town planner, biographer, and political commentator. Tochukwu, I greet you too.
Thank you so very much for having me, Jones.
Yeah, gentlemen, a coalition of civil society organizations, CSOs, has asked Mr. President to declare an emergency on security in the country. Very good call. Timely.
It's an overdue call. It should have been done long ago, but that's not where my concern is. The issue is not whether a state of emergency is declared or whether a state of emergency is not declared. As long as it's not reduced to just nomenclature, name calling, the government needs to have the political will to fight terrorism. It needs to have the resources, the skill, the determination to do it. And if it does not, whether you declare a state of emergency or not will not make a difference. And if it does have these necessary requirements, it can deal with terrorism even without declaring a state of emergency. That's a large number of people to have been killed and kidnapped in such a short time. So something dramatic needs to happen. But we've seen in the past that we've listened to the bandits talk. They talk with this sense of
Entitlement.
They talk with this audacity, this arrogance, this presumption, as though they have a grip on the government, or like the government cannot do anything. Boko Haram, we were told long ago, was technically defeated. They used a lot of colorful English to describe their kind of defeat. I don't remember, so it was technically defeated, completely defeated, almost defeated, and Boko Haram continues to thrive, continues to strike at will at military and civilian targets. And then we have a bunch of other...
But you and I know that the Boko Haram type of war is not a conventional war.
It's not a conventional war, but it can be won. And somebody had quoted, I think it was late Sani Abacha, saying that if any form of insurgency lasts for more than, I think he said 48 hours, that the government has a hand in it. And what we are seeing are indications that top military...
Did he, by inference, indict himself?
Abacha?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was indicted, but that's what he said. And as reports are beginning to show that some high military officials working in cahoots with the bandits, with other renegade independent criminals who operate as kidnappers and even Boko Haram. So the call is wonderful, but my concern is with results. What difference will it make if the government is prepared to handle terrorism and criminality in Nigeria? There might not be a need to call it. There was a time the bandits were to be called bandits or terrorists. What difference does it make? Just nomenclature. So if you declare a state of emergency and you can't fight the war, it makes no sense. If you can fight the war, deal with these terrorists and get them to on their knees without declaring a state of emergency, the bottom line is that Nigerians want to live in peace, want to live in
especially considering that these times are peaceful times.
These are peaceful times, supposedly, yes.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate objective or objectives of the Constitution is to guarantee the welfare and security of Nigerians.
To me, but I'm sure you've heard the statements like, oh, terrorists are sponsored by very powerful individuals, or that these individuals cannot be dealt with.
Well,
You've heard statements like that.
We have even had over previous period when governors will call that if I reveal the people behind the criminality, and I'm always wondering, why will the governor be telling us that he wants to reveal the people behind? His job is to ensure that the people,
As a chief security officer
of the state, that the state is secure.
But are they?
So when we look at the security situation in Nigeria, it's funny somehow because a whole lot of complexities are playing to make the position get out of hand. First and foremost, when a crime is committed.
So you mean vested interests won't let us see the end very soon?
Well, the way it is, because, and I'm going to start with the governors. Each state, when you commit a crime in Lagos State, it's the Lagos State Judicial Ministry of Justice that would handle the prosecution. And that goes for all the other states too. I know that when we had this kidnapping stuff coming up, a whole lot of states made laws. Some even have death sentences for kidnappers. But what we find out over time in Nigeria is that Nigerian governors don't sign death warrants. So even if you arrest a kidnapper or an armed robber, you take him to court, sentenced to death. So you go to the Nigerian reform, the Nigerian prison, I think they call it Nigerian reform, correctional
sentence. Yeah.
You find a whole lot of
death row
units there that governors of the respective states have refused to sign that death warrant. Now I don't understand the reason why, whether it is moral, whether it is religious or whatever it is. But
one of the governors, if you recall, said he didn't want blood on his hands.
But the people that had blood on their hands, that has been established that they have blood of the citizens on their hands, should go on living. The laws were made to deter this kind of thing. So when you have that kind of scenario, calling for declaration of the state of emergency on security, it's just like playing to the gallery, because the fundamentals are not being addressed. If really punishments are being meted out as it's supposed to be, it would, to a reasonable extent, you know that this venture I'm going into, if I'm caught, this will be the end. So you have to think twice about it. The people also sponsoring them will know that if I am caught along with my men, this might be my end. But because the consequences are not there, because I'm trying to understand how this state of emergency will work. Is it that the president will suspend the collection of security votes by state governors, and then handle that by himself to ensure that security organizations and funding is done entirely by the federal government? Or is he going to pump in more money into the states that have not been able to account for the security votes that they are collecting? Security is an encompassing activity for everybody. So everybody needs to play their role. Unfortunately, the Nigerian police force had not been up to speed, really, because we've been chasing kidnappers and robbers around with the Nigerian military. The Nigerian military is fighting Boko Haram, and then they are doing police work. We shouldn't be. So maybe instead of calling for state of security, emergency, let the police be properly funded. Let's also look at how maybe having state police, or let other states or regions also take example of Amotekun, and then have, it's not as if you are not going to have criminal occurrences, but at least to a reasonable extent, let's minimize these occurrences. So a whole lot of things we're supposed to look at. I think we are living them. And then we are doing
thank you, Tommy. Tochukwu, he just mentioned Amotekun, but brings to mind that the Southeast region established what was known as the ESN, Eastern Security Network.
No, Ebubago, Eastern Security
Okay.
is an offshoot of IPO.
Okay, Ebubago is another word for the leopard?
Ago is the tiger.
Okay.
Ago is like the aura of dignity, or the grace of the dignity of the tiger. That's a Ebubago.
Okay.
Yes. Amotekun has been quite successful in handling criminality in the
Southwest region.
When the Southeast governors came with Ebubago, I had written about it, and I said that in forming Amotekun, the Yoruba governors formed Amotekun in defiance of the federal government, and even dared the federal government to go to court if they will. But in forming Ebubago, the Igbo governors got the commandant of the military barracks, got the police head, so got everybody. So the people that have failed to protect the Southeast, the people that have been rumored to be orchestrating the criminality, or at least tacitly supporting the criminality in your area, are the same people you gathered to be part of the formation. That this will fail. And I've always said that's the problem of the Igbo man. The governors, politicians look at, worry about the next election. Statesmen worry about the next generation. But the opportunism in politics is most profound, most pervasive in Igbo land. And naturally, Ebubago failed. He's not doing anything. The governors can do so much to fight security, but primarily to deal with security, but primarily the issue of security rests with the federal government. We saw a case, I think it was in Magodo.
No, Tochukwu, but every state governor is a chief security officer of the state.
Technically, but the police in the states do not take instructions from them. We saw at Magodo where a policeman, a low-ranking policeman, defied the governor of Lagos State. I think the governor said something should be done this way. He said, no, I have to first of all report to my boss. That's at the federal level. Okay, so the governors they don't have the necessary powers. That's why you wonder, what is then security vote? If you cannot secure, why do you need the vote? But the governors sometimes, there was a governor in the Southwest who had imported 1,000 AK-47s and 1 million rounds of ammunition in preparation for the elections. He wanted to arm his boys so that they can swear the outcome of the election, until Oshomole made it impossible for governors to impose their successors. So they have their powers too. When they refuse to sign the death sentences, there's an Igbo saying, na isi onye ori ọkụkụ jide ọkụkụ, osi na ọ na-atụ ya egwu. Ọkụkụ is fowl. In the village, nobody's afraid of a fowl. You can catch a fowl. But if you
can.
Yeah, if you can catch up with it. But nobody's afraid of it. But if you tell a fowl thief to catch a fowl, he says, no, I'm afraid. The fowl will bite me. Hypocrisy. So these governors that use their dogs to murder people, use their dogs to cause mayhem. A certain governor in the southeast was quoted as saying, telling his dogs, kill, maim, I'll take personal responsibility for everything you do. And then the same governor tells you, I cannot sign a death sentence, which is in accordance to the law, because I don't want blood in my hand. That's mindless hypocrisy. But the federal government can do so much if it chooses to. Under Buhari, I think the Buhari administration deliberately refused to handle the insecurity problem because of his part of Fulani irredentism and expansionism. But now we have a new...
Where did you get that from?
Buhari has never minced word when he talked about his wish for Nigeria to be a Sharia country.
He
said so, quoted, yes.
I cannot underline that. I cannot put a finger on that.
I can speak for myself. And then the herder-farmer conflict is inherent because herders move their cattle along and farmers are sedentary. They plant their farms. So the tendency that cattle may sometimes wander into a farm is natural. So there will always be such clashes. But then in the past, they fight with knives and bludgeons. So there might be a fight. Somebody's head is broken. Somebody's limb is broken. 5 persons are wounded. 1 person died. It was under Buhari that the herders started having AK-47s. The average herder has no money. He lives in the bush. So it takes...
To me, does not believe that.
No, he doesn't have to.
Because you see, the thing is,
so it was Buhari.
Because a whole lot of people will listen to us. It will be wrong for us to be sitting now.
Us.
No, but me. Yes, but you're aware, but you are putting out
statements. I'm running the show, please.
Yes, sir.
Please, let's deal with facts, not conjectures, please. Because the viewer is interested in what we're discussing.
The fact is that
just a minute, let me remind the viewer that we're discussing the strident call for state of emergency and security. The civil society organizations in Nigeria, CSOs, have charged President Commander-in-Chief Bola Tinubu to so do. Are you in agreement? Are you in disagreement? My two discussants, Tochukwu Ezukama, becoming very, very vociferous, and why not? And Tumi Olawe, yes.
Okay, let me just finish. The fact is that in the past, herders and farmers clashed, but none of them used AK-47s. There was a phenomenon that became prevalent under the Buhari administration and has continued. We have renewed hope in this administration. That's what their administration said. We are going to change things around, and we are trusting this administration. And we hope that he upholds his electoral promises, that things will be changed around, and an end will be put to this modern process.
To me, do you think government is changing the promise?
And I say uphold the promise.
Yeah, but I agree. Renewed hope, blah, 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 blah. Government promised change. Has it changed the promise?
Well, I want to get the promise that was made. But as far as I'm concerned with security matters, there's no point painting an alternative scenario from the reality that we've had in Nigeria. AK-47 did not become predominantly used in the last 8 years. It had been way before then. And a whole lot of blame have to go to all the tiers of government. In the last 8 years, while there were issues, while the Boko Haram insurgency was still very big, lots of village heads and others in the north were removed because they were complicit in helping these criminals to perpetrate their activities. And if you still come back to now, it's still the same thing. Recently, somebody was arrested in the east that was manufacturing weapons. Some trucks were arrested, truck drivers were arrested conveying bullets, I think, from down south or up north, whichever direction they were facing. But it's important to note that the governors are not collaborating with the central to ensure that peace. I don't know whether it's being used for politics or for whatever agenda it is. Now, I'll go back to the Ifemodakeke crisis. It's been on for a very long time, and
It's like the one in the southeast, Aguleri Umolere.
So, to have the peace that had been in Ife Modake for more than 20 years, thereabout now, a committee had to be set up to look into. Of course, we know what the issues were. It was, we want our own local government, governor playing, maybe was it when the local government was granted, being put in Ife instead of being put in Modakeke, and then the crisis engulfed. But the Oba of Ife, the Oni of Ife, and the Oba of Modakeke were part of the reconciliation committee to ensure that that crisis was put to bed. If we go to Plateau, most of the issues in Plateau 2 has history dating back more than 20-30 years. So, and I'm sure there will have been reports of committees set up to resolve those issues. Those reports need to be revisited, and the government needs to call the stakeholders, because really, strangers will just come into your environment and start creating problems if there are no insiders there. So most of the issues we have, where these serious crises are going on, are what the state governors, in conjunction with the federal government and major stakeholders, the Obas, the village heads, should come together to resolve those issues that are there. Now, the funding for security to be done.
You are putting the advice by the CSOs in perspective now.
Yeah, in perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe that is part of their own security emergency, because most of these are crises that dated way back and have history that can be sorted out. That is one part of the crisis that we have. And of course, it's part of funding the activities that is leading to kidnapping. Because all these people need funds to buy arms and ammunition to carry out their attacks and so if we can resolve those settlement clashes, we will reduce to a reasonable extent these issues of kidnapping. And then the police need to be reinforced, both financially and materially. They need to be treated better. I know that a whole lot of works was being done with the remuneration. I hope it's been implemented now. And then the police itself needs to purge itself of unwanted elements. Because really, I have information to give the police. I'm going to be thinking twice. I tell this policeman, look at these people, their activities is looking fishy. But it's this same policeman I'm telling you that is going to report me to these
So
suspects.
there's this culture of mistrust.
Mistrust. So
Yeah.
our security forces, the police, which is primarily have the responsibility of internal security, needs to change the perception and the way they interact with the citizens. So we are all involved. And of course, as citizens, we can't keep quiet when we know there should be ways to be able to get information across to the relevant authorities to attack in the
Tochukwu, to me, talked about our reality. You are talking about our expectation. But we can stand in the middle, moderate our expectations, and of course, face our realities. Don't you think?
I talked about our reality. We talked about the clashes in Benue State. That has a long history, undoubtedly.
Plateau.
Plateau State.
No.
Has long history. Even Boko Haram has a shorter history, but still has history. But this Fulani freebooters on a murderous binge across the middle belt and southern Nigeria is a different matter altogether.
We will not resolve issues if we don't identify.
It's my time to speak. We have Fulani young men in Oka and in those areas who will openly brandish AK-47s, triumphantly be
To intimidate.
AK-47s in the Igbo heartland. And Igbo chiefs will report to their ogas, the Fulani big men, and the Fulani big men will tell them, go do your worst. So there's this the Buhari administration emboldened and empowered.
Let's leave. Buhari is behind us. Shall we? No, Tochukwu, let's talk about the CSO, the civil society organizations.
The previous administration empowered and emboldened.
Please, the civil society organizations.
We cannot discuss these things in isolation. So the Fulani is repeated.
Don't take us back. The Fulani will not be the major problem in the country. The Nigerians are the problems of Nigeria.
No, we're talking about security. We're talking about major perpetrators.
But see, that's not true.
The Boko Haram is a factor. The bandits are factors. Fulani herdsmen is another factor.
So hold on. How would you characterize what is playing out in the southeast? The Fulani
Fulani dimension and IPOB dimension.
I don't know what you mean.
IPOB is a renegade group that has brought
of the Fulani.
No, that has brought a lot of trouble onto the Igbos. But then there are Fulani.
So I'm saying that even the IPOB, the Fulani carrying AK-47 have freedom to operate with the IPOBs that are there.
I'm talking about what I know. So, but let's go back to our topic.
I hope we can.
Which is the declaration of a state of emergency.
Yeah.
If the government has the political will, if the government is concerned with the welfare of the people, if this government is sensitive to the plight of the Nigerians, if this government will uphold its moral, constitutional, legal responsibilities to guarantee the safety, the welfare of Nigerians, then let this government deal with the insecurity, deal with the violence. Whether they call it under the auspices of emergency or no emergency is most irrelevant to me.
Okay. How do we take this home now?
Like I said, it's a multifaceted approach to this issue, and really, it needs to start by consequence actions. Whoever has been arrested for kidnapping, for banditry, and has been sentenced to death, let those sentences be carried out.
You think it is not too late in the day?
So they are on death row. Why are you keeping them there? They are not going to be freed. And if you don't want to kill them, pardon them, let them go home. So having people on death row for kidnapping, for banditry, for armed robbery, I mean,
And
The ones NSC, the ones that will happen is they arrest me too, they will go and keep me there.
you got a chop.
So let the governors first of all show that look, we are not tolerant of any more of criminal activities. Because no matter whatever we do, if you commit a crime in Plateau, it is the Plateau state government that will prosecute you. If you're sentenced there, it is the governor of Plateau state that will sign your death warrant, not the president. So these things need to be addressed at the
Of
foundational
course,
level.
we know that only governors have the right to sign that.
And they have to show that they can do it and that they will do it. And that will send a message to a whole lot of errand boys and their backers that hey, there is a new wind blowing.
Sheriff in town,
unless we just be going around and then governors will now be discussing the bandits, holding meeting with them, asking for what's it called, amnesty for them. You know, we turn this thing into a jamboree, and then a governor that we've identified that this group is causing mayhem in your state. It will be the one to hold a meeting with those people and then be seeking amnesty from the federal government for those people. So really, we need to show that governors that are chief security officers are actually chief security officers. They are collecting billions on a monthly basis. Let's see those billions being effectively and efficiently used.
All right.
Then we cannot blame federal government if it's not supporting them.
Yeah, Tochukwu, help take us home. Let me remind you of what Robert Frost, if you remember the journalist Robert Frost, he said, don't ever take a fence down until you know why it was put up.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the Nigerian masses have suffered so much. There are too many dimensions to this suffering. People have really talk about multi-dimensional poverty. In the past, we didn't hear that. In the past, we talked about poverty, but because the poverty became gateless, desperate, primitive, raw death, severe poverty, we now call it multi-dimensional poverty, many dimensions.
On all counts.
On all grounds, yes. So then, to add to the insecurity, people are not feeling at home in their homes. A man's home is his castle. And when you be agitated, jittery, unsettled in your own home, something has gone wrong. The Bible says water don't pass Gary. So there's kidnapping in Abuja, there's everywhere. So let the government really look into this matter. Let us forget the semantics. Let us forget the colorful English. And let this matter be dealt with immediately. The federal government has the might to do it, the resources to do it if they choose to. It's high time they choose to secure the lives of Nigerians in this country.
Yeah, essentially, I know that if government wants to put down, call the bluff of these antisocial elements, it can. Recall that immediately after 9/11, the American Senate brought the Patriot Act, if you remember. But it took 10 years of insistence to get the mastermind of 9/11, that's Osama bin Laden. I think in our country here, we can deal with the freewheeling nature of abductors, kidnappers, and their cousins. How do we contextualize the call for a state of emergency on security by the CSOs, meaning civil society organizations? Would the president listen to the advice? Remember I said advice is like castor oil. Easy to give, difficult to take. Let the debate continue. I'm out of here, but let's thank Tumi Olowe for your time, and Tochukwu Ezukanma for your time too.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye now. Take care. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.